On June of 2000 here, coming at you with a defending review and retrospective of Wes Craven Shocker from 1989. And yeah, this movie gets a lot of shit on. A lot of people think it's one of the worst Wes Craven movies, but I fucking disagree. I like Wes Craven. I think he's a great filmmaker, and like he's up there with John Carpenter, Toby Hooper, George A. Romero, Dario Argento, all those great filmmakers that delivered great horror movies. But yeah, Wes Craven, I always thought he was unique in a lot of these movies that he made, like People on the Stairs, Nightmare on Elm Street, the first Scream movie, and of course this movie, Shocker. This was originally meant to be a franchise. It was after all the debacle because a lot of people shit on this movie. They think it's just a piece of shit. Oh, it's just a rip off of Nightmare on Elm Street. Horace Pinker's just a rip off of Freddy Krueger. Of course, he's meant to be that way, but it's a fucking different version of Freddy Krueger, man. Of course, it does have some similarities to Nightmare on Elm Street, and all that aspects of the dream sequence where he goes into Jonathan Parker's dream and attacks him, and then he comes out of the real world as an electric person coming out of the TV. But it's different than I'm on Elm Street because Wes Craven wanted this to just be another franchise. Like, you know how he got to Nightmare on Elm Street, which wasn't really meant to be a franchise, but because a lot of times when they do first movies, it was never meant to be franchises. They were supposed to be like one movie, like Jaws. Like Jaws was meant to have a one movie. That was it. Uh, what else? There's other movies that meant to be like one movies, but they turned into franchises. Like Highlander, I think that was meant to just be one movie, but they got a lot of sequels. Um, The Exorcist, that was just meant to be one movie, but they went on to do sequels. But all in all, what leads to another, they get sequels and fucking remakes and prequels and all that bullshit. But this was supposed to have a franchise because this movie bombed badly in theaters. It didn't do anything to make money in the box office. Usually, when movies are flops, they don't do the sequels. They just can the sequels ideas. I think this movie could have fit with a second or a third movie. Like it could have had like at least like two more movies, like a second movie and a third Shocker film. It could have worked because you could explore more what Horace Pinker really was back in the day and how he treated Jonathan, as he's revealed to be his dad in the movie. But all in all, this movie gets a lot of shit on. Like I am defending this criminally underrated movie because this movie just it gets so much shit on. Like I don't get it. I don't find this movie a piece of shit. I don't find this movie to be bad. It's over the top. It's insane. Probably that's probably why people don't like this movie is because it's kind of goofy at times. Maybe like there's people that like goofy shit. Like people like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. That's a great one, and that one has over the top shit in it, and it's a fun movie. Or even Army of Darkness. That's full of over the top comedy shit right there, and that is a decent movie. I do not mind Army of Darkness, but it is a hell of an over the top movie. Like it's more over the top than this movie. Where this one it has some moments where it's over the top, but it still has some horror and some great drama acting in it too. Even great performance by Peter Berg, who does a solid performance and shows a lot of emotion in his acting. And yeah, this movie is really good, criminally underrated. It flopped in theaters, canceled the sequels idea, and yeah, this one is great. It's about a killer named Horace Pinker who kills a lot of families in the LA area, like in the suburbs area and neighborhoods, where he kills and murders a lot of family. And of course, he murders Jonathan Parker's a foster family, who's played. Jonathan Parker's played by Peter Berg. You guys know who Peter Berg is. He's the director now, and he directed pretty good movies like Hancock and The Rundown and Mile 22, which that movie sucked with Mark Wahlberg and Ronda Rousey. That movie had one of the worst editing. Like the editing in that movie looked like shit. But The Rundown is Peter Berg's best directing movie. Like that movie's a badass film with The Rock and Sean William Scott. But yeah, he spoke highly about being in this movie and even great job at this film and how he got into directing from seeing Wes Craven's directing, and he also spoke highly about the horror genre. He wasn't a dick about like a lot of these horror movies give a lot of actors, celebs, their first job as a horror movie. And there's some actors that are dicks about it. They don't want to talk about, oh, the first job I did was a horror movie. They just want to think it was stupid. They want to think horror movies are fucking stupid, which I think is bullshit and fucking dumb because they think, oh, I don't want to talk about the first movie I made. It was a horror movie. I think horror movies are stupid. Nah, fuck that shit. You need to give some at least acknowledgement. Like, okay, I thank for them to give me a job in horror movies, but you don't have to be all be dickheads about it. But when I was, because there was an old interview with Peter Berg that he got interviewed by JoeBlow.com, and he said that he enjoyed working with Wes Craven and he also respected the horror genre. Cause he even admits that I did like the movie and he doesn't even shit on this movie, which is cool, and he doesn't even shit on the horror genre, which is cool to be a guy that is not really well at, like, he's not seen as an actor a lot in these movies because he's going to be a really high acclaimed director now. I don't know what other movies he have directed, but The Rundown is one of his best movies he directed with The Rock and Sean William Scott. But Spielberg spoke highly great about this movie, how great he enjoyed the experience. He respected the horror genre. He liked horror movies. And that was cool of him to say that because most celebs nowadays are just dicks about their performance. Oh, I don't really like talking about my movie that I first started in a horror movie because they think horror movies are stupid, which is bullshit because horror movies are pretty powerful, great films. And yeah, that's cool that Peter Berg gave a lot of love about the horror genre and wasn't a douchebag about it. So that was cool for Peter Berg to say something about it, even though he's not like acting in movies that much. He's directing now, but he still respects the horror genre, which is cool by Peter Berg. But yeah, Peter Berg plays Jonathan Parker, who his family gets murdered by Horace Pinker, and Horace Pinker is played by Mitch Pillegi, who does a great and insane loose cannon motherfucking performance as Horace Pinker. Like, this caroler is over the top at times, but batshit insane, and his dialogue is just fucking crazy. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Bye bye, asshole. I'm nationwide right now. I like some of the lines that he says are fucking over the top, but insane shit. Finger licking good. That this movie's fucking crazy. And of course he plays like Mitch Pillegi plays Horace Pinker, who's a killer, murders Jonathan Parker's foster family, and of course they have like some weird connection why Jonathan keeps seeing visions of him and why he had that dream where he saw Pinker killing his foster family in the foster house and waking up and finding out, oh shit, it was just a dream, but it was true. It turned out to be true. His foster family got killed, and his step foster dad, he was he's a detective in the movie, played by Michael Murphy, and he's another actor that's pretty good in the movie. He has a good performance as Donald Parker, who's like the lieutenant in the movie. He's like the lieutenant officer in the movie that is his foster dad in the movie. He does a good performance too. Michael Murphy, and Cami Cooper plays his girlfriend Allyson, who's a gorgeous actress in this movie. And sadly enough, she pretty much retired from acting after this movie. She did like one or two appearances on a TV show, and then that's it. She didn't really do much in acting, which kind of sucks because I thought her acting was pretty good. I kind of wish she was in more movies because she showed emotion. She showed while acting in her performance. She showed that she wasn't just a stupid actress that just like said stupid shit or try to be like a silly ass or something. No, or trying to be all eye candy of being so hot and stuff. No, she was still looking great. She didn't want to like she wasn't like one of those actors that like you just want to like like Megan Fox or some bullshit where she's just showing her ass or some shit. No, nothing like that. Cami Cooper did a good performance. I thought she was a beautiful looking actress. She showed her emotion. She looked like a really good actress. Like I feel like she should have been in more movies. It's sad that she and sucks that she retired from acting after this. But her acting was pretty good, and she played well as Jonathan Parker's girlfriend Allyson. She gets butchered and murdered by Horace Pinker after Jonathan leaves and gives her a present of a necklace that she gives her on their anniversary. And yeah, he butchers Pinker butchers and murders Allyson, leaves a bloody mess that Jonathan comes home to see, and it says "Happy Birthday, Jonathan Parker" with Allison's blood smeared and typed on the mirror, and he sees the bathtubs full of blood water, and Allison's drowning with her face in the water, dead. And John, was it the character Jonathan Parker that Peter Berg plays? His acting was fucking good in that moment where you saw him like he fucking died inside. Like his acting was sad. Like it was like you saw how fucking real his acting was right there. And yeah, but yeah, you show that you could tell Peter Berg was good in his acting, and it was cool to see a guy lead. Like it was like Wes Craven took a break from that Final Girl shit, which I actually do like Final Girls. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm shitting on Final Girls. It's nothing like that. But there's times that it's underrated when there's the guy as the final guy. He's like the final guy in the movie. He gets to have his shining be the shining armor and kicking ass, taking no names. And that's what's cool about like the movie The Thing and Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, and other movies too. That there's some other movies that have final guys leads, but it's cool to see like the guy, like the male, getting the final comeback of kicking the villain's ass. And it takes a break on the final girl moments, which I do like final girls, but a lot of times it's overdone at times. And like, come on, you gotta have a break. You gotta have a guy as the final guy in it. And I think it's underrated when it's a guy as the final guy. But yeah, one leads to another. He gets more vicious about Pinker. Jonathan goes and has a fight with Pinker on the roof. Vicious fucking fight. And of course, he gets caught and arrested and gets sentenced to death. And of course, Pinker gets into this voodoo shit, electrical, and says, "Come on, give it to me." And then this big ass mouth comes out of the TV and says, "You got it, baby." And then goes inside of Pinker to give him this possession, demonic shit. And of course, he bites the prisoner's mouth and then breaks off the finger and has that line, "Finger licking good." Just shows you how Mitch Pillegi is having fun with the role and shows how fucking bashing insane his character is, the Horace Pinker. Of course, he gets to the execution room, tells his truth about who he is, making John remember that, hey, I'm your dad. When I beat you real good, when your mama tried to stop me with that gun that she brought to our happy home, and how clever you were shooting me right in the fucking knee, you peckerhead. That's why. That's the reason why you see him in the opening where you see his foot. He's with a limp. Is because it's revealed that Jonathan's dad Pinker beat his mom, and Jonathan came with a gun and shot him in the knee, and that's how you get that moment why he has the limp and the connection of why he has this connection with Jonathan is because it's his dad. Torrance Pinker is his dad, and yeah, and I also wanted to mention the opening, the way the movie opens. It does look similar to when Freddy Krueger makes his glove, but it's really cool with kick-ass music soundtracks and that Shocker theme song by the Dudes of Wrath. And yeah, that song is such a banger. A lot of songs in the movie they play are banger songs. But that opening where he's fixing and making a TV and repairing it is really cool with that Shocker music playing. Shocker, Shocker, would you like me, Shocker? I don't know the dialogue, but it's such a banger song. Listen to the all the songs that are played in the soundtrack, folks. If you ever look up the Shocker soundtrack with all the rock songs, definitely listen to them. They're really good songs. But yeah, Pinker gets his execution, says his confession, and he gets electrocuted, and then of course he's still alive, but he gets his soul transferred into a doctor that checks him and sees if he's dead or not. And then of course the doctor's possessed and kills a couple of cops, and turns out he possessed another cop because he does body swaps, which I think is that he kill. I think he takes their souls or something to have more power in him. It's like a Freddy Krueger kind of situation where he takes his power. I guess like they die after he gets out of their body or something because he takes their souls. But he possesses another cop where that cop tries to kill Jonathan and has a foot chase at the park, and of course that cop is that same actor that played he was in Friday 13, was it Friday 13 Part 6 Jason Lives. He was the Megan's dad's assistant partner in the movie, the one where he has like the laser gun. He says, you move, you bang. It's where the red dot goes, you bang, or something. I forgot the line. But he's the one with the laser gun, and he's like the assistant to Megan's dad's cop in the character in the movie. Like he's like the assistant one with the laser gun. He plays the cop that is named Pastor. He's the one that Pinker possesses and chases him in the park and says, like he cusses at him a lot, like, you shut your fucking face, shithead. Get down on the ground now. Then eat this, asshole. And he starts shooting him. And of course, he shoots a jogger and possesses him. And that jogger is Wes Craven's son, Jonathan Craven. And both Jonathan Craven and Wes Craven would go on to write the remake of Hills Have Ice 2. That script for the Hills Have Ice Part 2. So yeah, that was crazy to find out that was Wes Craven's son, Jonathan Parker, as a cameo where Pinker shoots and possesses the jogger. And of course, the movie does get silly when of course Pinker possesses the little girl, and the way the little girl's acting and the movement of having the limp and stuff and moving the bulldozer, and it's the way she's cussing. Like, I don't know, that shit was just cringy. Like, that was probably the only part that was just weird and stuff. But of course, Jonathan gets the necklace around the little girl to get Pinker out of her, and then Pinker dresses as the mom, and then possesses King Robert in a cameo as a construction worker, and has big old sharp teeth, and has a pickaxe, and grabs the necklace to throw in the water and says, "Eat your heart out, sucker." Of course, Jonathan kicks him in the face to get away, and goes to meet with his friends, and some of his friends, and one of them is Ted Raimi, Sam Raimi's brother. So yeah, that was cool to see Ted Raimi in the movie. And then of course, a lot of havoc happens throughout that finale. Pinker kills his friends, and of course, Jonathan gets accused of it, but his other friend Rhino helps him out to get him away. And now Pinker possesses his dad. Pinker possesses Jonathan's stepdad, foster dad, Donald Parker, and having him on a foot chase. And yeah, a lot leads to another. They have a fight on top of the radio tower, and Pinker gets away, having Jonathan's foster daddy get a heart attack after he gets out of this Donald Parker's body and go into nationwide electricity. Yep. And then Jonathan has a fight with Pinker at the end, getting his necklace back by dreaming about Allyson, having his last kiss with her, and good luck from her, and also motivation by his foster family that are dead and his friends that are dead by Pinker's hands. and now he's ready. He has the necklace to protect him that he gave Allyson, and he has a fight with Pinker where Pinker comes out of the couch and big old eyes come out and forms out all grayish with the color of the couch and recliner seat and forms and attacks and shocks Jonathan. And then they get into the TV, and then they go into like different channels, like a war movie, Frankenstein movie, a Leave It to Beaver episode, an Alice Cooper music video, um, a riot in a news broadcast, a boxing match, and of course was it the radio guy, Josh Tesh plays a news anchor who they go in front of. He was like giving like coverage about, oh, it looks like Mass Murder Horace Pinker and Jonathan Parker are fighting, and then they go into like his interview table, and then Pinker says, "That's the way it is," and grabs like Josh Tesh's paper that he's reading and just crumbles it and says, "That's the way it is." And Josh Tesh says, "Did you get that?" Like it surprised him. Like that was cool to see Josh Tesh in the movie. He's a pretty cool radio specialist guy. And other things like Frankenstein movie gets shown, and then they get into some people's living room that are watching TV, and then like this it's a goofy ass part where they're like Jonathan's getting his ass kicked by Pinker, and then he kicks the woman's husband's ass, fighting. Oh, where's the cheese spread? And he kicks his ass in the kitchen, and then the lady is all getting all fucking mad. Hey, that's my furniture. What the fuck are you doing? And of course, Jonathan steals her remote, and then he jumps into the religious guy's TV channel, and then Pinker meets him there and have a bit of a fight and throws the religious guy out of the way and tells him, "Shut up." Then they get into the different channels till they get into like the foster room of his foster sister's room, where Pinker and Jonathan has a fight more. Scares off two anchor specialist guys, like, "Get the fuck out of here, I'll kill you." Yeah, and then has a bit of a dialogue until he gets frozen by Jonathan with a remote, and have a bit of a scumful brawling fight, teaching him a lesson. And then Pinker gets all pissed. "Hey, what the fuck?" And then, of course, was it his friend Rhino and his other football teammates are gonna destroy the power line. So it destroys the power line. So it gives them like a minute to get out of the TV to make it out. If not, they're gonna be trapped in the TV electronic world. And of course, Jonathan kicks some ass, take no names, fights with the power of love with that necklace that he got from his girlfriend Allyson, and kicks some ass, defeats Pinker at the end, makes it through the TV camera and gets out of his TV, makes it out before the timer goes out. Pinker's trapped in the TV electricity televisions and wants to go after Jonathan, but that was probably going to lead into another sequel to see if he was going to come back. But Jonathan defeats him, goes outside, and there's a cameo by Wes Craven playing Jonathan's neighbor. If you guys see, when Jonathan goes outside, if you see this movie, folks, if you see when Jonathan comes out and there's a guy on the porch and says, has a little bit of dialogue talking to Jonathan for a bit, and he says, you see the guy on the porch, that's Wes Craven in a cameo, which is so cool. That Wes Craven cameos at the end of the movie. And of course, Jonathan has his little dialogue with Allyson in the air. "You see those stars, Allyson?" She responds, "Absolutely beautiful." And those like big old stars floating around the air after rain, because after the clouds move, there's big old stars. And then the movie ends with Bonfire singing "Sword and Stone," and that's my favorite song in the movie, is "Sword of Stone." Do 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 do. I am the sword, you are the stone. I never live again. I am the sword, you are the stone. Such a badass song to end the movie, like, cause the movie not just only has a pretty good story, but it does have a badass finale song. And yeah, this is Shocker, folks. I highly recommend folks to check Shocker out. It's a great movie. It's highly underrated. Check out the soundtrack. And of course, Mitch Pillegi, Cami Cooper interviewed, but Chef Gordon's interview sucks. And then the Dudes of Rapper interview for a music's featurette. But highly recommend Shocker. It's a highly criminally underrated movie. And that's my review of Shocker from 1989, folks. Hit the like, subscribe, and take care, folks. Bye bye.